All right. Hey there, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Empire Interviews. So today it's going to be a blast. I like talking about DeSci. And so I have a really great project here that we're going to be talking to, learning about what they've got going on, and then see how this actually all ties together. So let's, without further ado, get into it. All right. Hello there, Mack. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you. Well, how are you?
Excellent, excellent. So I'm excited, and I really like this topic. So first, I want you to tell everybody that might not be familiar with you a little bit of who you are and what project you work with or work on.
I'm CEO and co-founder of AxonDAO. What we do is we are moving into the space of decentralized science and doing applied research that can be translated into real products, real algorithms, something that will last longer than just promises. And basically, we are just making it happen on a daily basis. The really interesting part of this was, and I think is that we just deliver. And the whole idea that Christopher started and we started executing it together was focused around making something that has real utility, where token is just a kind of piece of the machine that helps us to deliver things that we promise that we will.
Gotcha. So tell me a little bit about your background and when was the first time that you heard about blockchain?
Um, my background is I studied physics in late 90s. So the fun part is that I'm from the family of scientists. I remember my first interaction with computer. Maybe I was 4. It was a real mainframe from IBM. I was too small to understand, but I saw the tape recorder and console, and it was really something that I was growing in. Studying physics just gave me this capability of very open-minded thinking, and in the long run, it took me to a places where in early 2000s I was building software as a small company, and and I was trying to focus on something that has meaning. So luckily, I was able to build software for biotech companies, for researchers from the local university. Then in 2007, was also lucky enough to build an interactive television for doctors, which was quite large community of experts, of doctors in this region. And then after some time, life happens, children, many things. I was working for corporations, working as a senior technical guy. After some time, I became a CTO in the medical device project. Basically, it was not a startup because the devices was back then already working, producing the real things, working with patients, and it was product registered as a medical device. So I went through basically everything, including, and I think the strongest part of this was regulations, security, total quality management, ISO protocols, methodologies, anything that you can imagine when you touch data from patients. So that was the thing.
That's super awesome and very exciting in general. I said a little bit before you fully got on that some of my background is in medical devices. I worked for a company that makes an electron accelerator that could do ultra high dose flash radiation therapy.
Oh,
And so
wow.
that was kind of where I came into blockchain and crypto a little bit because I was trying to
Mhm.
create a software solution that was kind of like a middleware that could capture the patient data without giving up the patient privacy, right? And
Yeah.
so now there are a lot of really cool software solutions such as Midnight Network, which is coming out here soon, which allows for both shielded and unshielded transactions. So you can have some information public and some information private, which to me, all that is very exciting. So let's see. Tell me about Axon, and what are you all hoping to achieve?
Axon is a decentralized solution. I mean, it's like building a plane while it's flying, because you know you can challenge this idea of first building the completely working decentralized organization with everything that is necessary to maintain the protocol of decision making, or choose to build just as parts of that decentralized organization just to start with the research, with delivering some outcomes. And that's the case in our situation. We decided to not focus completely on building super sophisticated DAO regulated or completely automated ecosystem. We automated parts of this, and in the same time we are building again and again next pieces of that machinery, while we are investing in the research projects. So this way the blockchain became a fuel for this vessel. And as one of my best friends, he was reading out and trying to understand the tokenomics. He was like, after a few hours of discussions, what is the DeSci? Why blockchain? How you connect all these things together? He was like, I can see the egg, I don't see the chicken. And I was like, yes, that's true. So making like a metaphorical explanation, now we have to make a chicken out of this egg, and this is what's happening. So we are growing projects that can become a real products, agents, software, patents, something that you can materialize as a net positive income result. And from this we are growing, we are having more eggs and building more chickens. And this way the simplicity behind that structure is that we have very short process of making decisions what to invest in. We are trying to build a chain of things that we are investing in, that are interconnected with each other, and they can support each other and empower each other, so the outcome can be amplified more than it's just by summing up all them together. And this way it's like Cure OS is a kind of a vessel also that can connect all research studies and all results of those research as a something like a product for just the regular people. So
Yes.
from being a taking part as a data provider in research studies, in the same time using the same user profile, you can become someone who is building his own data set of health data related just to you. It's encrypted, it's yours, it's closed. Anytime we will be doing some research, future ones, and those people, those users might have something that matches the data we are looking for, we will ask for permission, maybe make agreement that we will reward you with that amount of tokens for the data you already collected, which is absolutely fair. And why we will, for example, utilize that data after having that consent, we will utilize it only to the purpose of that one single specific research. So it's not like you are giving us consent and then we are selling the data to 77 different companies that might like to have this. The whole plan is, first of all, to make efficient research protocol, some like a kind of structure behind, bring in as much as possible really cool scientists that are doing factual science, and they want to make their research fast and precise and aligned with all regulations and necessary things that must happen there, like medical devices, or if you want to just this. And in the same time completely stay focused on the privacy of each user we have in our community.
That's fascinating. So, when I think of decentralized science, one of the things that always comes to my mind is the Library of Alexandria, right? When I think about blockchain and the way that blockchain works, where you have a perpetual history of information, like a database that is always being added to, I think about um, the legendary Library of Alexandria, where all of the information in the world, right, some of the highest levels of information was kept and it was burned down, right? And I think about blockchain as kind of the solution for us to be able to store different kinds of data, and then kind of have the in perpetuity the information, the collective information of human intelligence, um, stored onto the blockchain, kind of like the Library of Alexandria, but that can't be burned down. So to me, it's very
Mhm.
exciting. It makes sense. And we're kind of getting to that place where I believe people will start to come around and understand that it's better systems, right?
I can take you for a very short journey. I don't want to, skip the subject too much or go too far, but just imagine that during all those thousands of years we've been living on this planet, we've been usually reinventing the same things again and again. And this way also we were wasting a lot of, chances to build up really not sophisticated, but like well stabilized society. I'm not even talking about nations. I mean, we should have different nations, but the knowledge why we are reinventing the same things so many times. That's the place where also blockchain is able to help, and we are supporting ourselves with the framework we created that is making something like a knowledge graph, nothing new, nothing sophisticated, but still whenever I'm trying to investigate some certain area of research just to build up additional algorithms around, for example, QoS or A plus voice, I do look for people who are already making something. And in the same time, I am able to play with an idea that they should, compile with all this. And blockchain is not only able to preserve the results, but also sustain the information about the ownership of that research that was made, the power, the effort you've made as a scientist. So if it should be fair, in my opinion, DeSci, it's not only about preserving the data and keeping the interest of the data owner, but also staying behind the scientists and making them the major owners of the research they created. AxonDAO DeSci is just helping them to bring in some initial funds. I think that decentralized science is basically like decentralized venture capital for research. And then you can add different industries, even metallurgy, agriculture, whatever. The fun part is that I've learned some time ago that there are at least two nodes of Bitcoin network in space.
Yes, I love that, and I think it's exciting. And I kind of, like I said, I think that it's going to be exciting when all of the collective knowledge is stored on blockchain, and then I mean, that could be something that we could transmit right to other places, right, in the universe. But I'm going to swap you
Doing
for
well. Thanks for
Chris,
having me.
and
Yep.
then all right. So you're also one of the founders of Axon DAO. I want to know a little bit about your background. What was it that you were doing before, and how did you come to hear about blockchain? And kind of tell me about that journey.
It's funny. Heard about blockchain around 2012 when I was really doing the last project. Um, I kind of heard about some internet money thing, and there's no app for that then. So I was busy doing some other stuff. But I was previously in uh, publishing and media. We had a magazine that I grew with a bunch of people, and got pretty big, and we understood how that process was with content. And then right around when mobile was coming out, we started developing apps kind of around content and privacy, especially. And during this process, I was working with Duke University for a semester in innovating technology innovations. And one of the big things was about privacy. And we always thought that people would care about their privacy. And lo and behold, people just click the button. So, we did some things there. And then during this process, I was introduced to Dr. Willard, uh, who is one of the head ER physicians at New Hanover. It's like a 5,000 staff medical network. That's a pretty big deal. So they needed a HIPAA compliant way to talk to everybody, because nurses and the staff were just communicating, breaking HIPAA law, but they had to, communicate sometimes. Well, there was a bad storm and it like wiped out the power. So they were really breaking the law then, but they had to still maintain, the service. So they was kind of put to me that, hey, tech, Chris, you could probably put, something together and do this RFP at the hospital bid process. It took many years to go through this, but we learned a lot. We built a protocol for them to use. We were second place to the people in the nice suits that probably didn't even know how to, make a PDF, but whatever, that's what it was. But we learned a lot. And just through this whole process, we were introduced to some clinical trial folks that knew Dr. Willard. And so we were very lucky to have that introduction. And we learned just really how antiquated all the systems are to gather clinical data. This is right before COVID. And, they're calling people with phones and pencils and stuff. And we're just like, this is crazy. So, we built a system for them. And at the time, it wasn't pressing to do so much. They're already operating. And so we made some things with them. And then during COVID, right then, we realized that they were losing a lot of money, not able to participate with the patients. So we quickly built something for them. And we really learned their exact needs, like what they need to survive. And at the same time, we realized like each patient is valuable to them. And so we were able to like understand that. And we were always working with blockchain. Like, how does blockchain interact with health data? How can it be? HIPAA laws are strict protocol. Use encryption, and you're not storing data on the blockchain. You're time stamping data for the accuracy and things like that. So we were like, how do we really use it? It's slow, so we quickly like realized like we had a little bit of funds left over after this COVID thing, that we really need to focus our efforts on what we were trying to do, is use technology to help solve problems in health and science. And we had a big meeting with all the advisors, and they just kept bringing up points that like, there's a lot of drugs and clinical things that were going around that actually helped a lot of people, but some people it didn't. But just because it might have helped some people, it didn't others. Why can't those people get it, or take the risk of taking the drug that it might actually help them? So we just realized that there's a need for blockchain and to maybe fund these things. And we're just always on a mission of how, trying to be naive a little bit about it, like, how do we do this from the most simple 0 point? And we thought a lot of people had done a lot of things in this DAO DeSci world idea, but it really was early. And so we were just kept asking questions. And I think with our knowledge of clinical understanding, and my knowledge, and then having met Mack, we're both like kids at heart. Like, we just like, with screwdrivers and wrenches, we like that stuff. And to be able to like solve a problem and really give it the best opportunity with him, myself, like Tharusha, like all the people that's been part of this, it's a group effort. And it's developed into what it has because of that group effort. But we're still trying to ask questions and doing things the right way. But generally, that's how we got here. I'd love to answering more questions about the details in there, because there's a lot here. But yeah, it's been a journey, and it's definitely one that's been earned since 2013.
That's super exciting. So one of the things that's first, I want to ask, are you familiar with IGON?
I'm not familiar. It doesn't ring a bell.
So the reason is because I recently spoke to them. They're a project that is building on Cardano, but they are a decentralized storage solution that is created to be HIPAA compliant and all the different other kinds of compliances. Like I can't remember what it's called because I'm trying to think of it. In Europe, there's a different one, but basically you can store information there. The information is sharded, similar to like a Google Cloud. However, you can set all of the permission levels. So in Europe, with their data, you can't actually leave, the data can't leave the country. So like the region. So you can actually geofence the data that's kept in the storage as well. Nav or Dr. Nav is one of the founders, and he created this solution, which I really like. I'm excited about, but IGON. So that's kind of like data solution. They're doing some cool things, and yeah. But recently spoke to them, like them, so I wanted to throw that out there. Maybe I'll.
I'd
make
like
a
to check it
connection.
out. We're always interested in seeing like what's new because there's people spend a lot of time doing something that's very valuable. And like Mac was saying, people you don't want to reinvent the same thing 5 times. And unfortunately, because blockchain wasn't around and encryption and all these crazy things weren't around years and years ago, we've had to remake things. But now it's like let's work with people who've done the problem solving.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Just put all the things together for sure. So Mac mentioned a few different things that I want you to go a little bit more in depth on. So he mentioned Cure OS, and then there was another thing. I think it was voice something.
A+ voice.
A+ voice. So I want you to tell me, as someone that isn't as versed, what is Cure OS, and then tell me about A+ verse or A+.
Yeah, I'll start with A+ voice because that's what got us some accreditations, I guess you can say, is when we can't just come out with a token and just say token by it. There has to be a purpose, obviously, and because we're founded with some doctors and people who just won't do that. So we had to be conservative about our total approach. But one thing that really popped up that Mac and I have been working on for quite some time was to develop this A+ voice system that uses AI to analyze your general well-being, use your voice in some manner. And we sent that to NVIDIA, again, because of myself, Mac, and Tharusha each had the combined accreditations to apply to this NVIDIA Inception program. And we submitted it. We got a whole bunch of no's from a lot of other people. And then that same day we got a yes from NVIDIA. And it was probably the best moment of this thing is because it gave us the validation that we've created something that they see is worth, kind of pushing. So as some entity that wants to help encourage others, this was great for us just in so many ways. So that's our flagship, system that Mac has worked so hard on with the dev team and everybody. And Tharusha has come up with a great protocol. So the idea of that was kind of like a beta version of one of our projects. But Cure OS essentially is like the operating system that will house all the projects that we're going to be using. And if we're going to partner with, say, another token or do some sort of other thing integration, that we have this system that already will be working so that your data that you're using our projects with the curing that we are releasing, your data can go into the system and the Cure system from curing. In addition, all the other products and things are just going to be pushed into Cure OS for just basically a centralized system that you manage, you have total control over, and you can delete your data, exactly where it's going. And one thing to add too, which is very important to us, is that there's all the health devices that people already use, they love them, they're personal items. So we want them to be able to use their data that they're already creating and put it into Cure OS. So there's a way we're going to be able to start rolling out. Every time we do, we're going to connect with like Apple Watch, Apple Health Kit, Google Fit, and all these Garmin's and all these other devices that we're going to be able to push your data that you're already creating into your QoS system, so you're not going to need some extra device if you don't want to have it. So we're trying to consider all these things, and Max got 1,000 things on the list of ideas that we haven't even thought of yet that are going to be put into the QoS. So yeah, and then Silosis, which is the first ethics approved clinical trial using decentralized manner for microdosing. This will be in CureOS also, to give you a frame of like, what we're building towards. But CureOS is the basically the main frame of everything we're going to build upon.
Super exciting. And I mean, I love that. I think that there is a lot of really amazing research that has gone into microdosing and psychedelics in a clinical standpoint, because I mean, very quickly, doctors give children antidepressants, all, ADHD medicine, which is just amphetamines that for some reason they don't actually even know 100% why amphetamines make already hyperactive children less hyperactive, right? It's kind of like stimulation with stimulation then makes like more calm. I was one of those kids, right? But there's so many other natural medicines that are definitely safer and better for children as far as their well-being, happiness, creativity, and everything else.
Well, it also proves the things that are, we know are right. Like maybe the doctors should say, go for a walk, like just some basic things that we can prove that actually, hey, that is valid. That does work. And then you can start getting data, because right now you create so much data. Everybody wants it. They want to know everything about you. So if you can kind of know a little bit about it for yourself, and then you can start seeing the value it holds, not only for your health and well-being, but, to others, and how you can help others by using that data with other data sets. So you're, again, not doing the same thing 50 times, and people can start building and creating upon the stuff that's already been done.
All right, so I'm going to bring Mack up now because I have some questions for both of you. All right, so we got Mack and Chris up here. So one of the things that I'm curious about is kind of what is Axon's next steps? Like, what are you all trying to build next? Because it sounds like there's like a list of different things that you want to get into, because I mean, I think that this is such a broad field. There's so many different opportunities of solutions to problems that have been around for a very long time. But I want to know what is next, and then also, are you all looking into getting into like RWAs, and then some of these other things that are being really exciting? What is next?
Well, if I can start, we just acquired a first server that has 8 NVIDIA GPUs in it. It's something that we're getting so that we could scale up. And Mac and I, being like, tech or just like mechanic nerds, we like seeing some hardware. So that's really the next big thing we're going to tackle. Like, we want to finalize and do everything that we've said we were doing very strongly and well. The long end of it is this, working with the NVIDIA GPUs and being able to develop a model around that. And the other really, really big thing that I want to point out that's next for us is to be able to give the funds out to these projects that really need a little bit of funds to get their idea out. And so that's really next thing. But beyond that is getting into actually some hardware servers so we can start building our model for the long term.
So if I am trying to build this data middleware solution, can I go to Axon and I guess you all probably give out grants, or how does that work for funding?
First of all, we will investigate what kind of data set you need to make your research, really efficient, and if it's possible easily or in some proper, of course, with proper approach, collect enough data to make your analysis, valuable. Like, researching based on 10 or 15 cases is, in my opinion, in most cases, really not enough. If we can, for example, bring into A+ Voice close to 200 people recording the voice, It means that we can utilize so oddly, different ways of computing the data we are collecting, that we can make 20, even 50 different trials to find that most of them fail and few of them are really amazingly, efficient. But I would say, first of all, your research needs to have, the qualities in terms of this, size of the pool of the sample data, and then how fast we can help you to spin it out into something like a product or algorithm we can reutilize many times, thousands times.
But it's not all. Let me just recap too. It's not all about getting some asset out of the grants. Like the grants are money that we give out. No strings attached. If there's a thing that becomes developed of that, we hope there's some goodwill there, and we have some things in there to try to just make it all work for everybody if there's something there. But we want to be able to see an impact and be able to get the audit trail of where the funds go. And where there's going to be a lot of learning too with us. But the administration, the U.S., this whole Doge thing, they want to see transparency. And it's funny because the some of the projects that are kind of reaching out or knocking us up a little bit are really in need of something, and it's just very small, and they're totally willing to cooperate. And it's funny because most of them are like government funded entities or whatever, and they just can't get a little bit of money, and we're like, where's all this money? And they're totally willing to cooperate. So it's just, we want to see an impact, and right away is the projects that have like that inherent connection to making an impact, whatever it is. We just want to know what it's going to do, positive or negative. The outcome, we just want to be able to track it. So there's going to be some learning involved, but we're excited to be doing that very soon.
So I am very excited about what you guys have going on. And actually, because there's a lot of other things that I would like to talk to you all about off camera, I'm going to ask the two questions to each of you that I always like to ask everybody, because it kind of changes the topic to a certain sense. But so, Chris, I'm going to start with you. If you could go anywhere in the world and eat anything, you're having dinner, what are you eating? Where are you going? And what is paint a picture with words of that, right?
Well, I guess it depends on my mood, but sometimes I like to be in the middle of nowhere, eating something I hunted, maybe, or be in a nice tropical place eating vegetables. But if I had to pick one, it'd probably be somewhere in Italy in a nice villa with not a lot of people around, and eating some good like seafood based type Italian, not like the New York that I grew up on. So yeah, that would probably be it.
Love that. All right, hit me with your answer, Mac. What are you eating?
That's easy. The place is Italy would be my second choice. I completely agree. But my first choice would be Princeville. It's a north part of the Kauai Island. I would be probably sitting by the beach watching the sunset and eating mango or pineapple.
That sounds pretty good.
He loves his pineapple pizza, I gotta say.
I just ate one.
That's funny. I mean, pineapple pizza is good. I like it with like some jalapenos. I need something like with that sweet. I need something to balance it out, right? I need something hot. But so then Chris and Mac, we'll start with Chris again. When you are doom scrolling on Netflix or any of these streaming services, what is it that you look for in a show that then makes you decide that that's what you're going to watch, right? What do you look for?
I think some tangible reality to it. Like, is there some connection to, is this real? I tend to like documentaries. Sometimes I get nerdy and watch like just stupid, boring like things that no one could care less about. But yeah, it's just, if as long as there's some tangible thing. There hasn't been anything since Breaking Bad. I like Sopranos and stuff, but I don't think there's been a show like even close. So good luck on finding a show I like, but if it's not a documentary or a comedy or something like that.
This is like really dark, but did you see Society of the Snow? Okay, maybe you should check that one out. But that was based on a true story with so it was like I think it was 1974-ish that a group of people on a plane crashed.
I did see that. Actually, that's probably the last one I watched on Netflix. It was that one, and I'd watched the one a long time ago that they did, but not the updated one. And that was, I think you have a bad day. Watch that.
Yeah, 100%. But that one comes to mind because my dad is significantly older, so I told him I watched it. He was like, "I actually remember when that happened," and it's like, yeah, you would. But yeah. And then so Mac, what about you? What kind of things do you look for? What is that catches your attention?
Well, I think I should say two things. Like, first is science fiction, and the second one is the catastrophic movies. But of course, I would not like to reach out for basically to anything. When I was first time watching it's not Autobots, but just God damn it, I don't remember.
Transformers.
Yeah. When I was first time watching Transformers in the cinema, I was surprised, and I was super young. The amount of details, I was so overwhelmed. I had to come back next day and watch it again to see the details again. But even if I'm like now, I like movies from 90s, 80s, like even Terminator.
Yeah,
watch it. It's okay. Effects are so in some moments, but the story is great. A lot of movies from that time is really way more interesting. But I should say catastrophic movies, like even quirky ones, like the Dante's Mountain or Dante's Peak. It has this cool vibe with kind of 80s car, and just some computers, but it's not crazy like they are mumbling something about quantum blah 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 blah. I'm a physicist. For me, when I'm hearing that stuff, I get like, oh my god, oh my god. So a little bit older ones, and good science fiction, I guess.
Things that are kind of in that genre. I think it's They Live. I think They Live is the one that comes to my mind because I watched that and I was like, this is so good for what it was at that time. Yeah, science fiction.
Recently, I watched Vault, but it's a kind of, it's okay. I highly recommend you Devs. It's from Apple TV production, DEVS. It's short TV series. It's really amazing about quantum computing and predictions. Really kind of deep stuff. And Halt and Catch Fire, great one, also.
Love it. But thank you so much, Chris and Mac, and make sure to stick around because I definitely have so many more things that I want to bring up with you guys off screen. But thank you guys so much for your time. I'm excited about what Axon DAO is doing, and I think I have some connections for you guys that I would definitely like for you all to connect with. So
let's talk.
Let's talk. Thank you guys.
Definitely.
Thank you for your time.
Join us at Rare Evo, the top blockchain conference, August 6th through 10th, 2025, at Caesars Palace in Las Vegas. The top blockchain projects like Algorand, Midnight, HBAR, ICP, Thorchain, and Igon, and many more are going to be there. This is definitely a must for blockchain enthusiasts and fans. Use discount code CryptoNightly to save on your tickets and to support the channel. Don't miss it. We can't wait to see you there. It's going to be a blast.